record. Great. Okay. All right, we've got Ian on all, huh? Okay.
Gordon, you're going to need more chairs.
Yeah, I think we might have. There's a few chairs over here, one here, a few over here, but I think we might need another 5 or 6. What's going on now?
Sort some chairs out. We make a little passageway here.
You're not good.
Just like. Now you're in trouble. What's his birthday?
He's in D124.
We're getting back into it, isn't it? Gordon, you're going to need to fire up your computer.
I died, did it? Look at it.
Didn't recognise you.
Thank you, Doug. Good on
I tried D124, but it didn't work.
All right. Okay, has everybody got a seat? No. Have we run out of chairs? There's chairs up the front here. Come on. 2 hours? Okay, let's make a start. Thanks for coming along. What a turnout. Sounds like everyone wants to get away from Perth. This is a kind of an impromptu session, but we're going to treat it a bit like a topic talk for the cruising section. So we're recording because a heap of people have expressed an interest but weren't able to come tonight, and I'm really sorry about the short notice. My name's Gordon Baird. I'm the secretary in the cruising section, and I'm also organising, I would call it the Abrolhos cruise, but I'm organising or coordinating some planning for an Abrolhos cruise or cruises, and we'll talk a bit more about that as we go along. A couple of other people I'd like to introduce Is Steve here? Did Steve come in? No.
He's coming, but he's down.
Okay. And Patrick, can you stand up for a second? So our cruising captain is Patrick Brennan. He's been doing a great job of cracking the whip on our committee, and I think those of you who are involved a lot in the club will have seen some big differences in the things that are going on, the way Twilight's being run, and the number of cruises that we're doing, and also, of course, the onshore entertainment, things like progressive dinners and so on. We're all having a great time. So if you're not involved, get involved, because it's a fantastic group. Plenty of new friendships to make. But if you just want to sail to the Abrolhos, that's fine too. And that's what tonight's all about. So the program for tonight, I've invited 3 couples to come along and talk to us tonight. They're all on this table over here. So keep an eye on them.
This is the naughty table.
The nerves. Yeah, the nerves are all over here. That was nerves, not nerds.
Naughty.
Nautical.
And I'll introduce them as they stand up to do their piece. But the format will be Ian and Janine will talk first for about 15 minutes or so about their experience to the Abrolhos, and then the other 2 guys are going to kind of merge a little bit because they've used a similar format and talk together and share their experiences. I'll then open up for questions and answers and a bit of discussion, mostly focused on what we've been told and their stories and their experiences. And I'm sure some of you have been to the Abrolhos before as well, and happy to hear from anyone who's got good experiences. And then after that, I'd like to spend a bit of time, particularly with people who are going this season, talking about how much involvement we want to have as a club or as a group in terms of organising a cruise to the Abrolhos this season. I think that's everything I needed to say. So I'd like to start by inviting Ian and Janine up to the floor to run us through their journey, which was back in 2022.
We did 2022 and 23.
Yep.
And so, great to see so many smiling faces here. My name's Ian Sampson. I'm on the board of management at the Yacht Club here. I'm on the board at Redfish West as well, and I'm a member of the angling section and the angling section committee. And it's my wife Janine. Janine's captain of the power section. So we're stink buddies at the moment, so don't shout us down because we're sailors from heart. I learned to sail in a mirror when I was 8 years old. My dad taught me down at Netherlands Yacht Club, and I quite often race on Southern Star, which is a far 40 out on A jetty. So we're not totally unknown to sailing, and I've sailed to the Abrolhos on probably 4 or 5 occasions, probably 4, and I'll talk about that briefly. But Gordon's asked us to speak in a certain order, so the first topic was timing and when to go. I think it's pretty commonly accepted that April, May and June are the premium months in the Abrolhos Islands, and I agree with that. In 2022, we went by powerboat. On the way up, we didn't want to steam at night time. Janine's first trip away, she didn't want to steam at night time, so we set a course where we pulled into port each night. I promised we'd be safely moored or tied up by 4 o'clock, and there wouldn't be any night sailing because she's worried about night sailing and cray pots. So on the way up, we followed the 30-metre line. We went first day, we went between, yeah, we went in the school holidays, and this was a mistake, going to school holidays. So the reason it was a mistake was there was boats everywhere, there was people everywhere, and it was quite an intense atmosphere. Every time we moved or went to a mooring or something, we had, 40-foot ribs tearing past us with one person on board. They'd grab the mooring in front of you and sit there on their boat all day waiting for their mothership to come back in. And it was a fair bit of competition, it was quite intense. So we went again in 2023. This time we did a different route on the way up. This time we went to Jurien Bay on the first day and then through to Geraldton. We refuelled in Geraldton and then we went straight to East Wallaby in the Wallaby group. We went there for a specific reason, that was to go to the long table lunch, and we delayed our departing Perth, so we missed the school holidays. So we'll talk a bit more about that a bit further down the page. And one word of warning, before you go, make sure that you log your notice with fisheries that you're going. Fisheries are the god up there, and you've got to log and let them know that you're going, and do it well in advance. Don't leave it to the last minute. And make sure you take a printed copy of the acknowledgement of your lodgement with you and keep it on the boat at all times, because last year we were there for 4 weeks, we got boarded 4 times. So they're pretty active at the moment. And there's an automatic fine of $250 if you don't lodge your online application form or notice that you're going. Gordon's asked to talk about the passage north. Like I said earlier, we dominantly followed the 30-metre line. We lodged an extended voyage plan with Fremantle Sea Rescue, and that had our starting point for the day, our estimated time of departure, and our estimated time of arrival at the new location. And we also made a note on there of all the voluntary marine rescue services radio numbers on VHF and their phone numbers, so we could call in. So do that, it's well worthwhile. Janine's got some slides from our 2022 trip that we did and a little brief talk about it. It was Janine's first time up there, she was quite nervous, and it was a bit of a wake-up call for her, a bit of education. So the times we've sailed up there, we've avoided craypots by following the 170 or 150 metre mark all the way up, and at night time or in the early afternoon we'd head out to sea and get out to the 200, 250 metre mark and follow that during the night, and in the daytime come back in. If you sail up there and you haven't got fuel constraints, which we had, then logical arrival point is the lighthouse on the Pelsart group, and then you can follow down the south side of the islands and around coral patches and back up into the channel. But Janine will take you through our 2022 trip, and then I'll talk briefly about 2023.
Thanks, Ian. So, like Ian said, that was our trip in 2022 to the Abrolhos was my first long passage on a boat, and my first trip to the Abrolhos. And like a girl, my research was all Google images, all the pretty pictures, you know, that the Abrolhos just look idyllic. So we departed Fremantle, and we had another couple coming with us that we'd sort of talked casually on D-Jetty with. We didn't really know much about their boating experience, which that was number one lesson that we should have learnt, was inquire more, be more definite in our inquiries of their boating experience. As it turned out, they'd done a fair bit of water skiing, but hadn't had much experience on a larger boat and doing longer passages. So we departed Fremantle. Our first day was into Jurien. Jurien was beautiful. Two Rocks. We fished on the way, so it's only a short passage, but it's not all about being in the Abrolhos. For us, it's the whole journey, and I really enjoyed fishing. Ian wanted to go to Two Rocks because he'd heard of Tavern on the Rocks, and so he booked.
So I wanted to drink beer and I let my boat tied up in front of us.
He booked like 9 months before we went for dinner at Tavern on the Rocks, so you could sit there and admire his vessel and drink and eat. It was Friday. It was Good Friday. They rang us on Wednesday and cancelled. And so we fished we caught a snapper and we were good people. We ate fish on Friday. Yeah, so, but it was lovely. It's a really, really lovely spot, and really encourage you to go to Two Rocks and sit up there in the tavern, which we did on another journey. Sit up there in the tavern and admire your boat in the harbour. Day 2 was Jurien Bay. The weather was not so great, and so we steamed like harder than what we had planned. Ian enjoyed it. He spent his day surfing down the swell. I didn't realise what was going on at first until I'm like feeling the boat catching the ride, and yeah, so it was quite good. The Jurien Marina is tricky. I don't know, have all of you been into Jurien? Yeah. No? So there's some shakes. It's tricky. Don't try taking any shortcuts. Like you go past Jurien, don't you, and then come back.
There's a south passage and there's a north passage. The north passage is clearly marked and is safe, and the south passage is somewhat marked and
not so safe.
Somewhat dubious. So be careful in there in a yacht.
Especially in a yacht, yeah. So, so our next night was Jurien, and like Ian said, I don't like being at night. 2 o'clock's my 1 o'clock time, so too much later than 2 o'clock, I'm getting a bit itchy. So yeah, we did short hops all the way up there, and the marina is gorgeous.
Fuel available, Coleman fuel on the service jetty, normal credit card operation, and you should do the Coleman induction before you use their bowsers. That's all online. It's pretty simple.
A lot of people who are going up don't book a pen. They'll tie up at the jetty and stay there the night. But just be aware you've got all your commercial fishermen wanting to be there as well, and wanting to be there very early in the morning, though you guys probably haven't got the fuel constraints that we had. So Jurien to Geraldton. Geraldton, we did have a great deal of difficulty contacting the Geraldton Yacht Club. When we planning the journey and we knew our dates, we'd emailed them. We didn't get much response. And as we got closer, we were in contact. They were like, yep, we've got your email, but they weren't acknowledging what pen they were giving us. And then even right down to as we were coming in, we had a few constraints with communication as we were coming in, and we were ringing them, and it was like, no, sorry, we've gone home for the night. We ended up, there was end of a T-head in the dock moorings, we just grabbed that. Our second journey up there, Geraldton were much more communicative, but the dock moorings are nicer. But it's, as a yacht club, we probably should support Geraldton Yacht Club. If you are getting fuel in Geraldton, don't forget your Bailey's card. Well, we didn't have a Bailey's account. Lucky our friends, our novice friends, did have a Bailey's account, and we're like, because there's no other way to get fuel. It's owned by Bailey's. So luckily they stumped up for the fuel for us, and
fuel bowser number 1 that we pulled up to
was much cheaper than fuel bowser number 3 that they pulled up to.
22 cents a litre cheaper.
Yeah, so that was interesting as well. Yeah, and then it was the trip to the Abrolhos. Like, finally we were getting there, and the weather had been hard. We were pushing into it, weren't we? And it was like, the weather was, it was rough. And we got there, we got to Pelsarts, and you see nothing. Like, it's flat. Hadn't really thought about that, but it's really, really flat. And oh my God, was it windy? It was really windy. And so we're going in, got to get a mooring. I'm used to getting moorings up the river, around, over at Rottnest and Mandurah and places like that. Used to picking up the mooring lines. For those who haven't been to the Abrolhos and need to pick up a mooring line, they are huge and they are heavy. and they're difficult to get. So, you know, it's usually, I don't know about all of you guys, but it's usually me that's getting the mooring and he's driving. And I was not prepared for what I saw. No one had warned me. All the people that we'd spoken to beforehand, before we went to the Abrolhos, no one said, oh, actually, just be aware, the mooring lines are pretty big and you probably need to take a bridle or put something through them so that you can attach it to your boat. No one said that. I'm out there with my pissy little aluminium boat hook, and there's this thimble that's like this big, big fat rope and metal lined. What was my, like, I couldn't even get it up and in and over the cleat. I was like, and the wind's blowing. So I don't, and I'm not saying that to put people off, I'm just saying that to have the discussion, right, and be prepared. No one told me that, and if they had told me that, I would have been up there ready with my rope that I could have thread through the eye and put it back onto the cleat. So I was better prepared after that, but no one had told me. So be prepared for the moorings if you're taking moorings. But anchoring's always, I find anchoring is always so much better. Look what I caught. That made up for my, oh my God, it's windy, and oh my God, how big are the moorings. Ian took me out on our little rubber dinghy to make me feel better, and he said, here, hold this in the water with the rod, and we were trawling along, and I got it with a popper. Very nice, made up for my day. So we kept hold of our mooring day 6. It was a little bit less windy. We were meant to be going to another island, but I said, actually, I'd like to just stay here and take a breather, and it's worth it. So the lesson there for me was, don't have a rigid itinerary. You know, like, if you get there and the weather's awful and you know it's like, just hunker down. Enjoy nature and wait till the weather's nice and spend an extra day. And it's well worth it. Yeah. Went to Gun Island. It was a bit windy and rough. Mutton birds, if you're walking on the islands, mutton birds nest in lovely little tunnels underground. They're ankle breakers if you're walking through. You go through, watch your ankles.
Stick to the well-trodden tracks.
Stick to the well-trodden, yeah,
So
yeah.
Bird nests will actually cave in, and you can kill birds and the babies, and plus you might hurt yourself.
So you hurt your ankle.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, lots of mutton birds.
And sharp rocks is quite dominantly sharp limestone, and
yeah.
the bushes are quite prickly.
Take
take
reef
your
walkers.
booties.
Take reef walkers. Best shoes, and take 2 pairs because you're bound to blow 1 pair out, you know. My new species of fish. First time trawling in the big boat as we were going island to island, and Ian's hoping we'd catch a mackie, like he's got mackie in his eyes, and put the line out, and reel it in, and it was really hard work reeling it in. First time I reeled in from a trawling boat. Worked really hard, and this beautiful shiny fish come up, and Ian looks down from the cockpit and he goes, it's an effing tuna, and the motors and took off, and I'm like, it's a beautiful fish. I made him eat it. We had tuna curry. I'll murder this pronunciation. Suomi Island, is that correct? Suomi? Yeah. And you just see how flat they are, and you've got calm one side and the reef and the waves crashing the other side. The most amazing sound in the Abrolhos is you're standing on these islands that are just all broken coral, and the waves crashing the waves crash in and they pound onto the beach, and then it's this tinkle, tinkle, tinkle as she reclaims her coral as it's falling back into the ocean. It's like wind chimes. Just beautiful. And they're the things about the Abrolhos. Like, if the weather's, there's so much beauty there, and it's so raw and untamed. Really, really beautiful. Most of my days you'll see it's windy. It was really windy our first trip. it didn't stop me from going back on a second trip, and I'll be going back on a third and a fourth and a fifth because I love it. At Turtle Bay, big shark to welcome us on our moorings. Every mooring we took, there was always a shark. You know, like every time, I think they listened to the motors of the boats. Later in Turtle Bay, the young boys in the boat next to us had a carcass up, and I'm going, oh, well, that's why the sharks are here. But yeah, everywhere we went, and I'm a bit paranoid, so I didn't swim off the back of the boat, but we did go snorkeling off islands with dinghy and snorkel off the islands. Yeah. We had Anzac there. It was just still COVID-y times, so the locals didn't really welcome you ashore to go, so we didn't go to the two up, but we had our own Anzac ceremony on, is it Flag Hill?
East Wallaby.
In
Yeah,
East
right at
Wallaby.
East Wallaby Island, and we went up to Flag Hill. Flag Hill's the highest point in the Abrolhos. It's 16 metres above sea level, and it's where Captain Pelsart arrived back with the rescue team during the Batavia fiasco. So.
And that's where we Hayes Fort. We found the fort. And the seals. So I was saying we snorkeled off the islands. What I discovered is you'd go so far and the water would start to get deep, and you'd have seals all swimming with you from the shore. As soon as the water started to get a bit deep, the seals would go, oh, see you later, and go back to shore. So that's as far as I snorkeled, because I figured they were onto something. Yeah. But it was just beautiful. There's a little lizard in the bushes over here. But yeah, that's Webby Hayes Fort's still there. Probably the first European construction in Australia, I don't know.
It's the oldest existing European
Probably,
structure
yeah.
in Australia.
Yeah. No. And then after we'd been, we were still in Turtle Bay.
Yeah, we were.
Yeah, and we'd come back from our little circumnavigation of the island, and all the boats that were on the moorings there were a bit busy, and we didn't have any comms. We didn't have our Starlink that year, and yeah, so we weren't getting any weather reports apart from the one in the morning on marine rescue, and we're like, all the boats are looking a bit busy. Everyone's sort of doing stuff, and this dinghy went by, and we hailed him, and he said, oh, the weather's changed. It was big northerly, was it, coming
Northerly
in?
shift, yeah.
Big northerly shift. He said, we're all ducking around to Pigeon. And we're like, oh, okay then, you know, how soon are you going? Can we follow you? And he's like, yeah, we're just going to pull our pots, coming back, rah-rah. So, yeah, he came back half an hour later, and our two boats joined up with his convoy. I think there were about 8 or 9 boats in the convoy, and went around in there. All the moorings in there belonged to Cray boats. They all knew of the weather that was coming in. All the moorings were taken, so we all got to anchor in between the two islands. And it was about 11 o'clock at night. Ian goes, you've got to come up and look at this. There's a whole event going on. And
So you had gone to sleep.
I had gone to sleep. And the wind was coming through. The waves were coming. This was towards the end of the storm that I took that photo, but the waves were coming through between these two islands, the height of the gunnel, and it was just gusting. One bloke had pulled his anchor 2 or 3 times. He ended up bringing his anchor in completely and just driving circles through all these boats in this tiny little area all night because he couldn't set anchor. It was an amazing spectacle. It was like being in the middle of a movie set. Everyone had their spotlights out so he could see where the lines were. And because everyone had long anchors and pulling back on the moorings, so it was amazing to watch this fellow's seamanship, to just keep driving all night. But the waves were being blown flat, and how much room was it between the two islands?
We're in the lee of a small island and about 250 metres away from it, and we had wind waves blowing up over a metre high before it got to us. So,
Just incredible.
so make sure you got
surreal.
good ground tackle and that you got heaps of chain.
Yeah, and heavy chain.
Heavy chain's better.
Yeah, 8 mil, go 10. You know, like heavy chain. It for the amount of extra weight that you can get on the floor, it's you know, it's really, really valuable.
That's the distance we were from these small islands, so that's in the morning.
Yeah, that was that's it without the wind waves. Yeah. So yeah, and this was the day we shark feeding frenzy. Don't feed the sharks off the back of your boat. You know, if you can clean your fish when you're out in more open water, do it, because you're just training the sharks to be awful. We were up there for the long table lunch. Decadent. If you can do it, do it. It's just amazing.
Sign up and do it.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I won't say any more about that because we're not selling long table lunch. Turtle Bay back to White Bank. Tiny little spit of sand. Just everything's, yeah. With a big family of seals on it, and the water around White Bank is so clear. It's like you're in an aquarium. You can see all the coral and all the fish just swimming by you. Truly magical. Yeah, I'll just click through this because these are holiday snaps.
Morley Island's on the south end of the Easter group, which is Rat Island, down the south end of the Rat Island group. We're anchored out there in 16 metres of water.
See how sticky
we had sundowners most evenings, but
I wouldn't do that again.
Yeah, we
didn't do that.
Second time round, we had a couple of sundowners, but we did them much earlier in the day because you don't want to be navigating around there in the dark.
You don't. You don't want to be in a dinghy going back to your boat at dark. You're better off if you're meeting up on shore for things, meeting up at 2 and going back to your boat by 5, sort of thing, instead of that trying to go do the next thing. Seals, like I say, the seals are amazing, so inquisitive. And then journey home. We was like, it's watch for the weather window. We once again got caught by that itinerary thing. We had guests on board for the last couple of days who we had said, you know, we need to be variable on our way home, and they were like, no, we have to be home on this day. And on that day, the weather was pretty harsh.
25, 30 knot easterly, and our course was due east.
Yeah, so yeah, it was pretty full on, and we were probably foolish. We should have erred more on the side of caution. We didn't come to any danger or anything like that, but if I was doing it again, I would have gone, well, no, you can go and call an aeroplane. We'll drop you at the runway if you so have to be home. I would have gone the next day. But that was us. That was my trip to the Abrolhos, and I just wanted, like, for the first time, we had more harsh weather, but it didn't stop me from wanting to go back. It's such an adventure, and it's so, so beautiful. And if you ever get the opportunity, just go.
Okay, I'm going to talk quickly about our 2023 voyage. 2023 we went for 4 weeks, and we had a different routine. We set off from Fremantle later to avoid the school holidays and Easter, and this time we went straight to Jurien Bay and then through to Geraldton. We had much better weather on the way up, and we steamed up at between sort of 8 and 10 knots, and we stopped every now and then and fished, but we went straight through to Geraldton. We filled up in Geraldton, and then we left Geraldton the next morning and went straight to the Wallaby group, which is the more northern group. It's not the very end North Island. North Island's dominantly a fishing island, and there's limited moorings there, and there's a lot of commercial activity. So I've never been to the North Island. I've been up to the Abrolhos quite a few times, and we've never gone there, but the Wallaby group is a northern group. We went there, got there 2 days before the long table lunch, and we did the long table lunch, and after that, on the recovery day, it was a bit roly-poly, a bit of east in the breeze, so we packed up and went around the corner from the Wallaby, East Wallaby Island. We went back out as though we're heading out of the group, but tucked in behind Long Island, and we pulled into the first mooring area, the first little bay that was marked there, and we stayed there for 4 days, and we're catching spangled emperor straight off the back of the boat, and we just anchored in 20 metres of water, and we stayed there for 4 days. After that, we decided we wanted to go to the third sister, because this year, 2023, Terry and Marion didn't come, we were just on our own, so we went to lots of places that I wouldn't have gone when Terry and Marion were following us, because if something happened, I kind of felt responsible for them. So we just went to the tried and true places. But after the Long Island, we went to the third sister. If you look at the third sister on the maps, you go like, why on earth would you go there? We picked our way through a spot called the Lagoon, and the lagoon's a massive expanse of water. There's coral reefs everywhere. They're half a metre below the surface. Janine was on the bow giving me directions, and we putted through it, you know, sort of 4 knots, 5 knots the whole way. And we got out to the third sister and we went, wow. And there's a little tiny winny sandy island there. We went ashore, took a bottle of Vervian and sat on the beach with 2 seals that were asleep on the beach. There was a pair of Pacific gulls.
Us 2 walruses.
Yeah, a couple of walruses sitting next to the sea lions. That was us. And our boat was swinging on the mooring outside. We're the only ones there. There was 300 metres due west. There was surf breaking on the outer reef, and we just had like crystal flat water. There was a fleet of terns down on the southern end of this little island, which is no longer than this room. It would have been 40 or 50 of them all lined up, all facing straight into the breeze, all ready to take off. And there was a school of shags there as well. So it was really, really nice. We were catching coral trout straight off the back of the mooring, and it was beautiful. So we stayed there for quite a while. Stayed there for 4 or 5 days. And then we went up to the Easter group, which is the middle group, Rat Island. And we putted in behind Whitebank that Janine talked about. There's a bunch of moorings there. And we went to another spot in there that they call the aquarium, which is, if you go where the moorings are, there's a large commercial mooring that the Abrolhos ties up to. If you go towards that and then look due north, you'll see there's a gap in the reef, and we just picked our way through that into this massive lagoon that's like 3 metres deep, and beautiful white sand, and we anchored in that. Let enough chain out so we're just on the edge of the reef, and it was just, we spent 4 or 5 days there. And from there we left there and we went out the Roland Passage, and we went across the short channel to Leo's Island, and we worked our way into Leo's. Leo's is really, it's only 2 moorings in there, really narrow passage to get in, and we went in there. But Leo's is a no-take zone, it's 100% sanctuary, but the snorkeling's amazing. On Leo Island there's an inland lake, saltwater one with a massive potato cod that you can go and feed. There's the most glorious little beach that we sat on for hours and hours, and it's just a beautiful lagoon, isn't it?
Perfect.
And then from there we went up to Morley Island and went back over towards Rat, then went up to Morley Island. We got a mooring there and stayed for a couple of days, and then we headed off to the Pelsart group. The best part, I reckon that one of the best spots is the very southern end of Pelsart on the inside. The Pelsart, the Long Island in the Pelsart groups, long and low. You got all the southern swell crashing on the south side of it, and on the inside of it, it's just super flat and really low. There's 4 really good moorings right up near the lighthouse, and further east and down the beach a bit, there's a lot of sand, good sand for anchoring, and there's a couple of moorings. And the shallow coral reef where the surf breaks on the outside and then washes through this coral and back into the big drain is where you anchor and stuff. But that coral, you can grab crayfish just in a metre of water, and it's super special snorkeling. We stayed there for 3 or 4 days, and then we headed down to Middle Island, which you pass on the way into the southern end, and then we picked our way through the reef to Stick Island, and as we veered off the Mark Channel going in towards Stick Island, we got a pod of dolphins came out and guided us in, and they led the way,
crazy.
and Janine was on the bow pointing, and we just weaved our way through, and beautiful sand in the lee of the island, and it was just beautiful. And we stayed there, and then we left. We had enough fuel left, and we went to Dongra on the way back. Dongra Marina is quite nice, and then we went to Cervantes the next day, and we stayed there the night. That was quite hysterical, really, because the bay was totally full when we pulled in, and we set our anchor, and then we had dinner and went to bed and woke up in the morning, and we're the only boat there. So all the grey boats had all gone out, and we're the only ones that were there. And then we came straight back to Fremantle. The dates were a lot better. We left the 19th of April, whereas before we left on the 10 days early on the 9th. And Easter in 2023, Easter in 23 was quite late, but we stayed outside that, and it was much better. There was no competition for moorings. We did pretty much as we wanted, and yeah, it was much better. Gordon asked us to talk about arrival point. If you're sailing up and you're following the 150 line, for example, your logical place to arrive is Pelsart's Lighthouse. It's 200 nautical miles there. Then you head east and come down the outside of the island and around coral patches and Post Office Island and up into the channel. That's a logical spot to go first off. It's a visible waypoint, the lighthouse. The islands are all really low, like Janine said. The only thing that shows up on your radar are the fishermen's cottages, really. So, and Pelsart Lighthouse is a good reference point. We found when we sailed up that if we left at 4 in the morning, left here at 4 in the morning and sailed all day and then all night, we'd pretty much come in at dawn around the southern tip of Pelsart near the lighthouse. So that was our reasoning for doing it. The times we've sailed. Too long?
No, well,
Yeah.
everyone's scintillated, but
Let the others talk.
well, the other guys have actually got the same structure as you.
Okay.
So what we might do, if it's okay with you guys, is get all of you up now
No, I'm good.
and go through that structure like we
Okay.
talked about. Is that okay?
Sure.
Would that work? So, I just wrote some off the top of my head notes about what we might want to know, and these guys have all kind of responded to that. So we'll get them to just go through the headings and share their experiences or their thoughts. Some of them will be the same, some of them will be different, but I think that way it'll be more time efficient.
Yeah.
So we'll spend maybe sort of half an hour or 40 minutes on that, then we'll have a break. People who are standing up, do you want to come and find a seat? There's a few seats here. You're welcome to grab some of these empty seats. You all right? Yep. Okay. So over you guys, I'll let you coordinate yourselves.
We introduce ourselves.
Yeah. Oh, good idea. Sorry. So let me help. So these guys are catamaran sailors.
Yeah, don't listen to Catamaran. I've got mine at home.
From Afterglow 2, Bernie and Liz, and they live on their catamaran full time now, and I think have been to the Abrolhos 5 times. Yep. So
Since
yeah,
2018.
plenty of experience. They're divers and they look at
And surfers.
and surfers. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And over here, Clive and Roz. I think many of you will know Clive and Roz. Clive was very active on our cruising committee for a long time.
Yep.
But they sail a monohull. Good for them. called Aquavit, and you've done one
Only one
good trip.
So we're novices.
One so far.
No. One so far, yeah.
Okay. So over to you guys.
Do you want to put you haven't got yours on screen, have you?
No.
No.
Do you want
Do you want me to bring you up? Yep.
Yeah, so I pretty much went through Gordon's titles and just put bullet points, mainly tips under each of them. So,
Yep.
get going?
All right, let's go.
Yeah, so when to go? So Easter,
Yeah.
as we've heard, is this time of year, so the moorings are always taken.
Can I talk about something before we talk
Of
about
course you can.
timing?
Yeah.
I wanted to talk a little bit about preparation
Okay.
before we start about timing. Yeah, I mean, there's the obvious thing about boats, all your safety gear and your fuel and your water and so on. And we'll talk about this later, but also long before you go, it's time to get your communications sorted out. All right, and also look at yourselves and your crew and make sure you're going to be fit and rested to go up to the Abrolhos. Janine talked about the weather, and I think one of the most important things about a trip up to the Abrolhos is to get your weather routing right, and know what you're doing, and not to be constrained by the time frames.
And itinerary,
Right?
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
As Ian pointed out, you need to register with fisheries, but more than that, if you're going to go fishing, you need to have licences, and if you're going to go crayfishing, you need to have another licence, and so on.
You need to know the rules.
And you
Yes.
need to know the
Need
rules.
to
So,
know the
so,
rules.
so the rules have recently changed.
Yeah.
So you're only able to take one pelagic fish per licensed fisher per day, and you're only allowed a total of 5 kilograms of fillets on board. So you can't go accumulating a lot of fish and so on. It's basically fish to eat
On that day.
up there. Okay.
I'll just interject there. The frames and wings don't count. So a lot
If
of
you don't
people,
mind eating the frames.
if a lot of people fillet their fish and throw their head in the frame and the wings away, in my view, the wings are the best bit to eat, and the frames are pretty good on the barbie as well. And that doesn't count towards your 5 kilo quota. So that's
So we'd
worth
eat the fillets and
Yeah.
freeze the frames.
freeze the frames.
But as Ian said, they got boarded 4 times
Yeah,
and
4
so
weeks.
on, and so yeah, it's quite common for fisheries to board you and check what you've got, and they will go into fridges and freezers.
Oh,
and
yeah.
so on.
And
Right.
the Abrolhos have special rules, don't they?
They
Yes,
do.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's
Yes.
only one
Yeah.
baldy a day, is it? Or something?
No,
One
demersal.
pelagic per-
One
One
pelagic,
demersal, yeah,
one
one
demersal.
one demersal.
With no size limit.
Yeah. So you can get one coral trout, or you can get one baldy, but you can't have both. All right.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Okay.
And I think you're going to talk about provisioning later on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Not much to say, but
Okay. Well,
we can cover that
Well,
next.
you want to cover that now or later?
I think there was, there's provisioning.
Okay,
Provisions
right, later. Okay. We found on our trip up, which I said was only our first trip, that we had a normal tender on our boat, an inflatable and so on, 5 horsepower, 2-stroke and so on, which has been adequate for everything we did. We found it inadequate at the Abrolhos because as Janine has pointed out, the wind, and also the distances you want to travel. Once you're on a mooring, you don't want to take your boat off everywhere, so you need to go in a dinghy. So you need a reasonable sized dinghy, a reasonable sized outboard.
Yep.
All right. And also, as we saw, you need to plan for foul weather events. So you need to understand where you're going to be and how you're going to cope with a couple of days of really strong wind. We had 1.5 to 2 days of 40 to 50 knots, it was great. Ros cooked some bread and did some knitting and sewing. I got ahead of the boat list of jobs down below and so on, but we survived it.
Yeah, you need to work out your bolt hole, where you're going to go that's safe. And don't always think that you'll pick up a mooring, because everybody else in those situations is going to be after a mooring too. So you've got to be able to get your boat safely somewhere and anchored somewhere. Hopefully you will get a mooring, but if you don't, you need to be safely
Yeah.
anchored wherever you.
Sorry,
No, that's okay.
I hijacked the
So-
agenda, but
So-
I thought that before you go, there's a bit to think about.
Yeah, so I seem to remember that around Easter time there's about 50% of windy days and 50% nice days. When we've been coming down the coast from Shark Bay, it tends to be pretty much windy all the time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's August, September.
yeah,
So going north, yeah, so we went once from and we left from Roddo just as the front had passed and we started going. It seemed fine after Roddo, but the wind just kept building and the seas were all messy, and we just hadn't given it long enough for the seas to calm down. It was horrible. Downwind, fast, got there real quick, but yeah, so it's a good idea to give the seas a day to settle. Try to arrive mid-morning or after mid-morning.
yeah.
So
After mid-morning,
so
around the middle of the day, plan your arrival, which we did. So yeah, go on.
yeah, you need to change your time.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Oh, well, you need to play with it every
Yeah.
now and
Or just sit there.
Yeah, I'll just stay there.
Yeah.
I'll take my
then.
house.
Okay.
Right. So as Bernie's got there, there's the direct route. We left. Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry.
So we found, so you can get a program called Vital Maps on iPad or online maps on Android, where you can have your, so it's like it's very simple chart plotter where you have the satellite view next to your chart plotter, and so you can really see clearly where the bobbies are.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
So-
the reef and everything, you can see it, so.
We find online maps is pretty good because you can change the hue and saturation and out of the image, so you can really, and contrast, so you can really get the bombies to stand out. And a lot of these places it's just isolated bombies, so it's quite good. So going the direct route, about 220.
Talk this way.
Sorry, I have to read as well.
No, you can read it on here.
So yeah, day and a half or more, or day and 3/4 sailing. Because assuming you're leaving in a good southerly, good moderate southerly, it's pretty fast route
Yeah.
up there.
So if you're sailing, as Bernie said, we left from the north side of Roddo, took a mooring on the outside, so we were able to get away early. We got away about 3 a.m.
0300.
Yep, and we sailed directly to Coral Patches, and we got there around 1100. Sorry, yeah, around about that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so as Bernie said, it's important to be able to see the bottom during the middle part of the day.
So if you leave from Rottnest and go straight to the Abrolhos, you're pretty much in 200 metres-ish, 150, 200 metres, all the way, apart from just off Cervantes, where it comes about 100 metres, and that's a direct route. Or if you're leaving from Frio, I'd suggest going northwest until you're north of Roddo.
Yeah.
Maybe follow the shipping lane where maybe there'll be less cray pots.
So if you out that deep, do you get any influence from the Lewin current going north?
Yes.
Yes.
You could.
Well, that's
yes.
probably why the seas were so shitty when we went up.
Yeah.
Because
So part
winter
of
gets
my
tide.
part of my observations were keeping track of water temperature, and if they go up, then you're in the Lewin current, and just try and avoid that, because the Lewin current's another 2 knots that you're missing out on if you're sailing.
The wrong
So
way.
it's best to try and avoid it if you can.
Yeah.
But obviously, as you get closer to the Abrolhos, you're going to be sailing into.
And unlike Bernie, we actually intentionally sailed along the 30-metre line because I had some intelligence, inverted commas, that around the 30-metre line was sort of like where there wasn't a lot of cray pots, because the professional cray pots were a bit deeper and the amateurs were a bit shallower. So suffice to say, we didn't have any cray pot problems, but that's the way we did it, and we had a great sail. We had our MPS up for about 8 hours during the day, the second day we were out, and as I said, we made it about 11 o'clock up to Coral Patches. So sorry.
But I think really the only disadvantage of the direct route is an overnight stay.
Yeah, yeah,
So if you're
Yeah.
scared,
Yeah.
anxious about that,
Yeah.
Gotta do
It
watches.
wouldn't be with the sailing, it's because we're motorboat.
yeah,
Yeah, needing to stay in, so if
Really
I'm
tough
staying
than that
inshore, yeah.
So with the stopover route, I mean your options. I mean I'll just say at the beginning. I'd say that it's probably better to do the stopover route on the way back because you
Yes.
probably have to.
absolutely agree with that.
Yeah.
So you've got two rocks, Lancelin, Green Islands, which I haven't stopped at, Cervantes, Durin Bay, Greenhead, Port Denison, Geraldton. The problem is also you have to go a few miles in to get through the reef, and then a few miles out the next morning, and you want to get there, but maybe by 4, so you can see, and then leave after you can see the crate box in the morning. So you're only really making headway for like 7 or 8 hours a day. So it's taking a long time to get there, because that's a third of its actual sailing time. Most entrances to the anchorages are swell dependent. Lanceland's terrible coming in, even in a 2-metre swell. You really got waves either side of you, a big surge pushing you along. So I wouldn't go in any more than a 2-metre swell. Most anchorages are actually rolly. Durin's nice, it's got quite a lot of islands out there. You can anchor behind Bullinger Islands, nice to anchor behind. And then there's the DOT Marina, that's route, which is managed by Geraldton DOT office. So you can find them.
So we did a stopover route on the way back. We wanted to go to Geraldton just because, and we actually stayed there until Anzac Day and left there on Anzac Day, and then went to Port Denison just because, and Jurien Bay just because, and then because we want to get home, we went Jurien to Fremantle, and that was a long day. But
We've done that route.
yeah,
as
yeah.
well. It's quite
Yeah, but I echo Bernie's thoughts. Port Denison is great, Jurien Bay is great.
All the others are a bit average.
Yeah.
Unless the weather's good, of course.
And you know, coming out of Port Denison, you see the Cliff Head oil well and so on. So there's some yes. So there's some interesting things to see.
So just in Geraldton itself, it's quite a good little basin anchorage off the yacht club in Town Beach, which has good sheltered anchorage from southwesterlies.
Can I add something about Port Denison?
Yep.
Is that there's really only the DOT jetty, from what I hear now. That this is all rumor, so if someone knows anything different, but I think there's just the jetty that you can tie up to. There's a bunch of moorings in there, but you're not allowed to go on those moorings. And there's an old jetty there, but it's been condemned over the last couple of years. So, and it used to be you could go and stay 1 or 2 nights. The Shire used to run that, but that has been condemned. You're no longer allowed to be on that that jetty anymore.
That T-head there.
Yeah, that T-head one.
Oh,
So
okay,
you're
yeah.
not allowed there. So you're only the DOT jetty is a concrete jetty next to the fishing boat jetty. So it's just not that nice. And also if there's other boats in there, you're kind of out of luck. I don't know. But there might be some anchorage area. We have thought about trying to suss out the anchorage. Because
Not allowed in Port Denison.
it's not allowed? Okay, there you go. We haven't ever done it because we've always been able to go on the Shire jetty, but that Shire jetty is now condemned. So,
Okay.
so Port Denison is a bit of an iffy one. You have to make sure that you can, because it's first come, first serve. So.
Okay, so the Batavia Coast Marina in Geraldton, it's pretty crappy. It surges a lot. However, they do have free washing machines and dryers, so if you've got a load of washing, you can save $25 on the overnight
I
fee.
did my dunas, I did all the blankets.
So it's actually one of the cheapest marinas in
Just a note there, Bernie's got the yacht club jetties, maybe an option. we went into Geraldton and stayed at the yacht club, not the floating jetties with the DOT areas. And they are not really good to stay at. There's a lot of metal. You can really do a lot of damage to your boat.
Kind of
you
like
don't
Fremantle
have a lot of
Sailing Club,
fenders, lines and stuff like that. So you do have to be careful going into the yacht club.
And not many points to tie on in
No.
those ones, no.
Just one thing I missed.
Sorry?
Yeah, the entrance to Batavia Coast Marina, you have to turn side on to the swell, just where it jacks up. So you really have to have your wits about you and go fast.
Yeah. All right.
But Town Beach isn't too bad, but it does seem that every year there seems to be a boat that does end up on the beach. So there is a little bit of a reefy bit in there, so you just need to check your bottom and check where you put your anchor, because every year there seems to be a boat that comes up onto the beach off of Town Beach, but you can get holding in there, and it's fine.
In Geraldton, the Maritime Museum's a must-do.
Yes,
And-
absolutely.
Yes.
And,
Yeah.
and the HMAS Sydney 2 memorials
Yes.
a must-do as
Yeah,
well.
it's incredible.
And if you're up there during shore leave, then the jewellery shop in town does the Flotsam and Jetsam competition display, and that's worth having a look at too.
But also by the marina, across the street, across the main road is where you've got, is it Woolies, I think?
Coles.
Yeah.
Coles.
Coles, yeah.
Coles.
Yeah.
You've got good provisioning, so you can just walk over and
Yeah.
do your provisioning and come back.
Yeah.
And then there's,
Yeah. And there's a good little restaurant just near there.
oh, okay, I don't know about the restaurant, but,
Nice crayfish.
Yeah, arrival points.
We've sort of talked about that a bit, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I found Moyley Island's pretty good arrival
Yep.
points. But there are moorings which are probably going to be taken at this time of year. And if they're not free, you can carry on up to White Banks, which is on the north side of Rhode Island, just a bit further up, or go down to southern Pelsart. But I mean, these guys had other options there. But the advantage of southern Pelsart is there's 6 moorings and loads of anchorage.
lots of anchorage.
Just Bernie's got a note there for the fisheries. If you go onto the fisheries website, there's a huge amount of information. And this is just one that I printed out, and it's got all of the moorings.
All the
And it's
Yeah.
really handy to have something like that. As I said, if you need a bolt hole to go to, if it's starting to get windy or whatever you need to have an idea about where you're going. So fisheries website has got a lot of information. So that's something that's quite handy to have too.
So favourite anchorages. I think mine. I mean, starts Pelsart down on southern Pelsart. There's moorings, but there's lots of, as we just said, there's lots of places to anchor in sand. So it's a good place for big groups like growing up at Easter to meet up. There's lots to do: snorkeling, spear fishing, prey fishing, surfing, windsurfing, walking. Got a bit about falling into bird burrows there. Yeah. There's actually on the island there. There's a bit of an old train track for the guano industry.
Yeah.
Once there,
To have a walk along
so
there.
you can walk along the train. Well, it's used different banking. It's harder.
There's a little cache in there that you can leave a note into.
All right.
Yeah.
I like Morley. As I keep on saying. Got the maps.
Yeah, good.
Can you just scroll down to just to the first picture? There's a picture down
Yeah,
here.
sure.
Down. Carry on. So that's the Morley Island. And what's great, you can be here on the mooring here. It's dead flat, and it can be blown 35 knots southerly here, and it's roaring out there, and you think, oh, that's
Yeah. And for those of you of a culinary bent, Morley Island has lots of samphire around the
Yeah.
lake.
Go on, sure.
And often a playful seal.
Sea lions.
Sea
Sea
lions.
lions.
Sea lions.
You get the little babies there and
Yeah.
they're just puppy dogs.
Yeah. And then wallaby group, just because of history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But beware that if you're round in Turtle Bay, be wary of north and northeasterlies. It really does get rocky and rolling. Yeah.
And we've, because I guess we're on a cat, we have opted not to go on the moorings there, and there is anchorage area there, so
So
we
on
have.
the side of the moorings.
So just on the inside, to the
East.
east side, inside on the east, there's good sand holding there. You just gotta check out your water depth and what your draft is. But there is, and we found it's less rolly than the moorings if you go in close.
It's still deep enough for them.
Probably, I don't know. You just gotta check out your radius. So.
Anything else to add there? Or no? Favourite anchorages?
Oh, well, Pelsart, no, we agree with you. Pelsart Lagoon
Pelsart
and
Lagoon,
Morley
yeah.
Island are our favourites.
Yeah.
Oh no, you missed my favorite.
Leo, was it?
No, my favorite is an enemy island. Oh,
No,
you got
that's-
it down
that's-
here. Okay.
That's not a.
Okay.
It's not neither of us. You got any? What are your favourites?
Probably
No.
my favourite is Pelsart Lagoon. Once you get right down through, and it's fairly well marked and everything. It's like a big V, so you've got the island for you, the island on the east side, and the fringing reef on the west side. And it's very, very sheltered. It's very calm. There are quite a few moorings there, so check out the moorings when you're here. And it's just a magnificent spot. It's flat, but throughout the whole day and throughout the night, you've got this beautiful background sound of the surf on the reef, and it's really quite beautiful.
Yours?
We might take questions at the end, if that's okay.
Specific to the lagoon you were just talking about. Yeah, it's okay.
No, sorry, go ahead.
So with that lagoon specifically for you, how far could you get down there with your draft? Is there any considerations to that?
To
lagoon
Pelsart?
for the moto?
Yeah, on the way in, there are a few rocks there. You have to be very careful. If you've got a really good chart plotter, you'll be fine. We got to Coral Patches about 11 o'clock and then went down into the Pelsart Lagoon pretty much straight away.
And right down at the bottom.
Did not have any
Yeah.
problems, went right down. And our draft's about 1.8.
Yeah.
But even
So,
you couldn't go any
it was
further
good.
because there's reef further
Yeah,
down.
that's it, yeah.
So
Yeah.
sand turns into reef when it gets
But
shallow.
just have a good set of eyes
Yeah.
and come when there's sun overhead.
Yeah, you could
Abrolhos. Yes, sir.
Did you say you caught crays down at Pelsart?
Yeah.
Yeah. I kept saying we had two in previous years, but you wouldn't believe me.
I think the
Right
island,
down where the four-
island, yeah,
Where the 4 moorings are, right down
Yeah,
there.
down
Yeah,
there.
where there's the little opening.
Yes.
Okay, folks, we'll take other questions at the end. Let's keep going.
Okay.
keep
Okay.
going mornings.
So we're just going to say, have you got any favourites to add?
So, well, my favourite would have been Leo,
Yeah.
just because it's so picturesque. There's one little shack on there, so you get the shack photos. There's the gorgeous sandy beach, the potato cod and the lake. It's gorgeous.
I like the Third Sister. That was
Yeah.
my favourite spot I went to, and the aquarium up near White Bank is pretty special. It's worth going in there. You guys will get in there easy, and it's really good holding. And there's that much reef around. It's just flat as a tack, even when it's super windy.
Techniques, okay. Like we've already heard, the moorings are thick and heavy to put aboard,
Yeah.
so I think I'm going to be sexist and say so the wife should drive. But, we should
I
really think
had
that-
no confidence in the wind
Yeah.
to hold her
Right.
there, so it was, you know, I
Yeah. Maybe
Horses for courses, Janine.
just get the
maybe
nice
a 20-year-old
ones.
son.
Yeah, yeah.
I made some notes on that. I said anchoring techniques, look for moorings where possible. They're rated to 40 tonnes, so they're heavy duty. Got 50, 70 mil line on it, you've heard about that. Suggest trying to source a heavy bridle or something that you can loop through and get on the mooring nice and quick. Have good ground tackle, chain, 3 times scope at least, and if it gets windy, even more chain. So, and go heaviest chain you can put on, comfortably put on. Look for coral, look for sand patches and refrain from anchoring on coral where possible. And if you hear scuffing noises during the night while you're on anchor, there's usually juvenile booby birds that like to snuggle up on your boat and they leave down feathers everywhere, so keep an eye out for them.
Yes, I know, especially in White Banks and down at Pelsart, there's staggle and coral lumps, so just watch your swing,
Yeah.
that you don't wipe them out.
And we found over near the guano jetty on Pelsart, there's a lovely sandbank there, but it's very coarse sand over a rock
Limestone,
bottom, and your anchor doesn't drag. It just anchor doesn't dig in. It just
Floats along.
skips over the top of the shelf. But so be aware of that. Right? Sorry.
Provisioning, I say catch lots of fish, squid and crow.
Yeah.
Because no, you can't, and take
can't go
anything else
wrong.
with you.
What we
Did you want to talk
have
about
done
provision?
is, like, when we've gone and spent like about 3 weeks out there, we'll go to Geraldton, provision in Geraldton, and we go back out. So we've done that before, so.
So have you got anything off the island ever?
Hey?
Have you managed to get anything off the islands there?
Oh, as
Provisioning?
in
Lots of fish.
only lots of fish
Lots of
and
fish.
squid, you
Yeah,
know, all
yeah.
our seafood.
Yeah, 'cause
We
I
went,
there's no water, there's no
Yeah.
fuel,
No.
you need to make provision for that
Yeah.
before you go.
Our 4-week trip, we took 6 protein meals in the freezer, and we came home with 1.
Yeah.
There's lots of fish and squid.
There's fuel by arrangement from the barge,
Okay.
But it's
Um,
expensive.
but it's a lot. It's very expensive, and you've got to pre-arrange. You've got to commit to a minimum quantity and meet the barge over there. And if you miss your time slot, you miss out.
I have heard of people provisioning when they've had friends or family come out on the planes,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and they'll bring a box of groceries with them. But you gotta watch your weight and stuff with those planes and stuff, so you just need to make sure you organize with the airline how much weight you can take. But people have provisioned that way as well, like for food.
Yeah. But
So in Aquavit, we've got a fairly deep chest fridge, which actually gets quite cold at the bottom of it. We've got a drinks fridge, and we also take our Waco fridge and operate that as a freezer. And it goes up there with a reasonable amount of food frozen in it. I also have a vacuum sealer, which I do quite a few bits and pieces. A lot of vegetables can be vacuum sealed, and they last a reasonable time too. So yeah, and as Janine said, there's lots of fish, crayfish if you're doing that. Yeah.
And
So
take some
you're not
bread.
going to starve.
Take
bread
some
mix.
bread mix.
Bread mix.
Bread mix, yeah.
Do your own bread
Bread mix.
and supplement it with canned and preserved stuff. So.
Google the no need focaccia. It's the easiest focaccia made in a plastic bag. You start it in the morning, bang it in the oven at dinner time, and it's done, and no time spent kneading.
Okay.
I haven't got anything for tender use, but you might take an anchor, because often it's a bit corally on the beach. You might be better just to anchor and walk. Good shoes, and but we had a 25 horsepower, so we have the same problem.
We've got a 15 now.
But yeah, you do use the dinghy a lot.
We've got a 3 metre inflatable with a 2.3 horsepower engine.
And us. You can
And
imagine.
we were we were grossly underpowered.
Also, make sure if you are leaving your boat on a mooring and going off in your dinghy, you've got all of your safety stuff with you. Wear your PFDs, take your handheld VHF, have a small kit with you, obviously, your snorkeling gear, your fishing gear, anchor attached, you know, just you're out
your
there,
betadine
you're
and stuff for
actually
your
quite a
coral
long way
cuts.
off. A lot of the places are quite isolated, so you really do need to be very responsible for yourselves.
Yeah, it's a bit different to tendering to shore.
Yeah.
Gordon had best snorkeling and fishing. So, I mean, there's lots of bulging groper around. They're in shallow water, 1 to 3 metres maybe, and they patrol the edges of the reef, the sand at the edges of the reef, the sand patches. And I think the main, fresh squid seems to work well, and I think the main thing is have strong gear because they'll bolt into the stag or coral or whatever and snap you up. So you need strong gear, razor resistant leader, so heavy gear, to try and stop them going into the coral. Also, spearfishing must be the easiest in the world because you don't have to hold your breath. And now there's no size limit for boardies, so you just shoot any of them. But
there is a limit to the number you can
I
have.
think it's 1, yeah. But it's really easy now. So we did a snorkel, a drift snorkel on the west side of the Calcite Lagoon. So it's quite a swell coming over. It comes over the outer reef, and then there's a really strong current going through the lagoon there.
Yeah.
And we just dropped each of us off one at a time, just shot through
Fantastic.
over roofs. It's great.
Yeah.
And that's in sort of, there's some wreckage of an old light structure that you'll see from the anchorage there on the west side of the lagoon. And then we did a dive on an enemy lump, which
Yeah, so we do scuba diving. So we did do several scuba dives all around, but this was probably one of my favorites.
but it's quite shallow, 5 to 8 metres, and
Except for this, it goes.
yeah,
Okay.
if you scroll, I've got a photo of it down the next one after. So that's the,
So
yeah,
Leo,
so
yeah.
yeah, so it's
Oh, okay, so it's
So you
this
see
is-
where Leo is. I think. Is this Leo here? Is that, or is it
Yeah.
one of these?
well, it's these.
Yes, Leo.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
it's east group, isn't it? So yeah, so you can see it here, and so there's a fisheries mooring right in the middle of it. They use it mooring, and so
You can't really anchor there because it is just coral.
and it's a sanctuary zone, and fish know it, so they just follow you around. And there's big pelagics around the edges.
So you see
that's
barracuda and things like that. So it's
Nice.
a really cool dive.
or snorkel.
Or snorkel.
Yeah, so there, any more to add? I mean, you're fishing, any?
No, it's just fish everywhere.
There's fish everywhere.
We'll,
You know.
let's keep going
Yeah.
a bit
Yeah,
faster.
yeah, yeah.
I'm just
Conscious
we're
of
gonna run
time, yes.
Well, yeah, we're going to run out of time.
Okay, definitely recommend reading before you go or on the way up, reading or listening to one of the books. There's a couple we've read.
Yeah,
It's
but
a
Yes.
good experience. And Islands of Anglo Ghost, which is the original one in 1966. Yeah, there's Webby Hazer's Fort. We've covered that. Diving or snorkeling on the actual wreck requires light wind, the light swell. So
If you get the right weather, it's
Yeah,
apparently
absolutely.
right.
yeah.
We've never been lucky enough to do
no,
it.
Yeah.
So.
no.
Beacon Island's closed. You're not allowed on Beacon Island.
Oh,
Okay.
really nice.
Right.
Yeah, Beacon Island's closed.
I think only Abrolhos can go on.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
and yeah, the Batavia dive is pretty clear when you get there. You can see the straight lines from the cannons and the anchors. So it's only 5 metres of
Yeah,
water.
it's shallow, but
Yeah, it's shallow.
a lot of the time there's big swell and rough and as you said, windy. So yeah, you really
Hence
have to
why
be
they
lucky
crashed.
to get good weather for a
Yeah.
dive.
Yeah.
There's a day mooring at Rutail, which is near the Roland Passage. That's a good snorkel, good dive. There's a dive trail there.
Okay, so just on the bad weather, so yeah, I mean, you get the fronts coming down, you might get an early front around Easter, which, same as here, it starts off northerly and backs all the way round southwesterly, and of course a couple of years ago we had Seroja, 12th of April, so it could well be happening. The fisheries moorings are very strong, as we said. So the Pelsa anchorage, you got good holding, but it's still about a mile to the barrier reef, the outer reef, so you still will be choppy. We've tried Middle Island once, it's sheltered, reasonably sheltered, which is above the top of northern Pelsa, but can be choppy. So is anyone going up with a draft less than 1.5 metres? Are you all monoholders? Okay. Yeah. So there's a really good anchorage. Can you scroll down right to the bottom again? Next one there. So this is West Wallaby, and if you go down to here, this hole here, right? So it's about a 3 metre hole. So very well sheltered from all those directions with the wind, or anywhere around here. So and if you go down more, so to this one. So there's actually, I think this passage in is buoyed, and you just have to work your way through to it. So this is where, it's like going into Parker Point. It's about the same. If you can get into Parker Point, you can get into here. But you might be able to play the guitar. This is a case of don't listen to cat owner if you have a mobile. But I would say you're fine up to, no problem up to 1.5 metres. We had no problem, we didn't hit anything.
So we sheltered in there in about 40, 45 knot winds,
Yeah.
and it was excellent. It was a great place to be.
Yeah, and you can actually come up to Pigeon Island here. So these are the moorings these guys were talking about earlier.
Okay. Yep. Okay.
Yeah, have your second anchor. I always have a good second anchor.
Yes.
So
Because, it won't so hard when the weather's coming.
yeah, I mean, I put you mate when we were up there, another boat managed to snag a mooring from a fisherman on Pigeon Island through that same storm. He was lucky, but I'm surprised you managed to anchor there, Pigeon Island anchorage, because it's not good holding and it's not much room.
Look, no, there wasn't much room. We were all in like sardines. It was a really, really wild night, but it came up quickly.
Yeah, okay.
Like the weather shifted quickly and it came up really quickly.
So I put poor holding, lots of moorings. And yeah, during Seroja, so the last minute they closed the Abrolhos, told everyone they had to leave, and they had to jam into Batavia Coast Marina, which wasn't particularly good. But I seem to remember a few days before, 4 or 5 days before, there was nice, gentle northerlies, which you could have sailed down south back here if you had made that call.
Did you? I found that the wind patterns you get 5 or 6 days of the southeast southwest pattern, and it just flicks between 30 degrees each way, and then you generally get 2 days of light northerlies just following, and then sets back into that southerly pattern again. And I found that when we've sailed there and also when we've been in the power boat. So I don't know if you guys have found that.
Well,
It's a pattern.
Yeah.
It's West
Yeah.
Australian coast, isn't it?
That's right.
It's a pattern.
But obviously Seroja was a bit of a one-off, wasn't it? So hopefully. So we found a coastal Wi-Fi with an aerial upper mast works, especially in the more southern groups, or hauling your phone up the mast and hotspotting.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what we did. Just
Phone up the mast.
just put the phone up the top of the mast as a hotspot. Got excellent reception. Downloaded weather every day. But obviously having having a properly installed hotspot or a Starlink would be even better.
I think the best idea is to find a friend with a Starlink.
Starlink worked last year.
Yeah, so like this.
We had, I did a video conference with the Fair Work Commission in Melbourne on the Starlink, and had client interviews and stuff that I did, so it works really well. It had no dropout.
Yeah.
I've also found the Telstra Wi-Fi works better in lighter winds. I don't know why.
Depends on the wind.
Services on the island, well, airports, that's better.
Just on communications, the Geraldton Sea Rescue has a repeater on the island, Channel 81,
That's right.
and so you have got VHF connectivity if you need it. Okay.
And also make sure you've got the contact for the nurses station on the island.
Oh yes, the nurses station.
Oh, yes.
There is a nurses
There is
station
that.
on the
Yes,
island.
there
so
is.
Yeah,
make
yeah,
sure you get that contact.
and they've got their phone number and they're on the radio too, so you can
Is
contact
that
them
just
on
on Rat
VHF.
Island?
It's on Red
That's
Isle.
Rat.
Yeah, Rat
That's
Just
just
on Rat
Island,
Island,
yeah.
so that's in the middle group.
Make sure you register, be that. So, anything else? Yeah, so just the passage home.
Just hang on.
anything more? Nothing else.
So you talked about the there's an airline air strip on Rat Island and on
Yes,
East Wallaby.
we did crew changes.
And then you've got the National Park and DBCA. DBCA have done a new management plan for the Abrolhos that includes some upgrades on East Wallaby in terms of tourist facilities, and also a jetty on Beacon Island. So there's been a few things that are going on, so you need to just keep abreast of developments there.
Okay, so passage home.
To be honest, I think the best thing is just keep going north. Just keep going north and southerly, go north.
So you're likely to have to day hop. So one thing, when you're leaving to try and go south, you're going to get a lot better, a lot more good weather windows leaving from Geraldton or Port Denison, because you can leave in a strong easterly and be sheltered by the land or the reef and hug the coast, whereas out of the Abrolhos it'll be pretty rough.
On the trip home, weather planning, of course, is essential, but be prepared to stay in one of your bolt holes for a few days until you get the right weather window, and don't have a predetermined schedule.
Take them
That's-
all at home.
Sorry?
Take them all at home.
Yeah. Even so, Gordon, and Morgan, it can be a pretty punishing trip south.
What do we got? Yeah, I mean, obviously you have to leave when you can just about see the cray pots, because there's cray pots off every stop, every anchorage.
Yeah.
So try and keep speed up, motor if you have to, just to get to the next anchorage to the sea breeze comes in. That's my suggestion. Yeah, try and go for low swell conditions. Talked about Lance and Scary. However, 2018 we managed, in September, we managed to do a spinnaker run all the way from Morley Island to Rottnest. It does happen. Wasn't fast, it was beautiful. And when we were sort of headed up to the Indonesia flight and we stopped at Abrolhos, we made a YouTube video. So this was the very first one, obviously, so it's not quite as professional as the later ones. But you can check it out if you want.
All right.
All right.
I think that's it.
That's it. Okay. So just before we have it,
Well, just one more thing. I'll give these notes to Gordon, so where you got them, so you can just send them out. You've got my permission.
actually, what I'd like to do before we thank these guys for what they've shared with us, we need to, if people are interested in joining the group and getting this information, I need to work out how to communicate with you. I think maybe the best way is for me to give you my email address, or we could pass a bit of paper around. I don't know how. What's the best way? Or we could use the captain cruising.
Cruising captain.
Yeah.
And then we'll build a distribution list.
Yeah.
And then
Yep.
email everyone.
So if you want information, or you want to join a WhatsApp group of people who are sailing north to the Abrolhos this season, then if you could email Captain.
Oh God.
Pat will tell us.
Isn't it cruising at FSC?
Captain.
Go.
I think
No, but it's captain,
cruising at
isn't it?
FSC.
Yeah. But if not, go to the FSC webpage, go to
Yeah,
the
it's
cruising
on the-
section.
it's on the homepage.
And then that has the email addresses. So either cruising captain at FSC or captain, cruising.captain or captain.cruising at fsc.com.au.
We can always use Fremantle.
So if you can,
I wouldn't do that. No, go to the website, both of those bounce.
Yep.
If you call the office, they'll put you on hold and ding dong, do another department.
So
Eventually you'll give up.
so what I need from you, if you want to join the WhatsApp group, I'll need your mobile phone number, and then I'll invite you into the group. If you just want information from tonight, just say that in the email, and we'll send out. I think I've got notes from all the speakers tonight, which is fantastic. Thank
No,
you.
we didn't do notes.
We didn't do notes.
We're manual.
Old school, old
Yeah.
school, right.
You can
We'll-
always.
So
Got
Gordon,
the
to
phone.
confirm, cruising.captain at fsc.com.au.
Okay.
And I check that email once a Sunday. So get them in by Sunday, and then we'll get a list made.
I was leaving that in the boat, Patrick.
I've already got your number, mate. You're good.
All right. So I've got some gifts for our speakers tonight. Pat, do you want to come up?
Yeah.
So, thanks guys for. No, there's a reason which I'll explain in a moment. But thank you so much for pulling things together at such short notice. I didn't plan a long way ahead, but I've been spending too much time on the water myself to worry about how much time there is left. But it's only 3 weeks till I leave to go to the Abrolhos, so.
But no schedule.
And I can't wait. Well, weather dependent, of course. The reason there's only 2 bottles is that this guy doesn't drink. But tonight I've learned that Liz does. So, well, you'll find that at 8 o'clock tonight there was a little voucher from the body shop that appeared in your inbox. Because I thought you needed a bit of help. Mate.
Sounds like I need to rub in.
So, yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. And, Pat,
Do you take weed? Thanks very much.
Pass that. If you get noticed, no one's got it away.
So, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Lovely.
thank you.
I've got some words.
Can we go and sit down?
Yeah, Captain needs to
Thank you.
talk.
Okay.
Let's see.
Yeah. So we're running way after time. Now, in my dream, I thought we'd spend a bit of time, particularly people who are sailing to the Abrolhos this season, talking about how much engagement as a group we want to have. Who's interested in doing that tonight? A few. Okay. So what I think we'll do is finish up the big formal part of tonight, and I'll let Pat make some announcements.
Yep.
And then those who are interested in staying, because they're wanting to cruise this year and would like to talk a bit more about plans and itineraries and so on, please stay on. Okay.
Excellent. So, firstly, thank you all for coming. It's incredibly humbling. This is a full house. I don't know when I last saw a full house, apart from a power section Christmas party. So absolutely fantastic, wonderful, and it's incredibly flattering. And also a big thanks to Gordon. I mean, he's done so much great organisation. I'm really glad you don't drink, because I thought I had a budget problem, so we're good. A couple of things. So firstly, we've got a progressive dinner coming this weekend. I hope you've registered. If not, come later, because I think the boats have all been assigned now. The next one is the last Wednesday of April will be the last twilight for the season. We're having a big bash. So we've got a spit roast organised. We did this, I think it was November last year. Fantastic night. Really, really good. So please come along. It's going to be awesome.
If you're not at the Abrolhos.
Gentlemen never sail to windward, and some of us have to work. So. In May, it's sort of time. I think this might resonate with a lot of his group who've come here to help learn and get some insights and stuff. We're going to do another MOB exercise. This is sort of practical. Throw a dummy in the water. Talk about different recovery methods, particularly in a short-handed basis. So we did this last year. It was a really good day, although we didn't manage to get onto the water with live demonstrations in the pond. So we're going to get some info out on that, but we're going to get that organised, and I really encourage everyone to come, because this is one of those scenarios, you're two up, the stronger half has fallen in, what do you do? Apart from laugh. Right. In June, we're going to start our Stargaze program, so that's where we tend to go about 20 miles offshore at night. Have a great night out, a bit of banter. Last time we did a trivia night. Some fantastic dinners got cooked on boats, a bit of a competition there. I'm looking at Clive with envy, because I had a microwave curry, this guy had beef bourguignon.
You don't have to slum it just because you're on a boat.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just happy it was hot. But it was really, really good, you know, and we try and time that on different, you know, full moon, no moon, different experiences, and both times it's worked out really well. The next thing is feedback. You know, we're trying to build the section, we're trying to get more going on in the club. Community is important, trying to get more family involvement is also important to us. So there's things we can do. Please find a way to feed it back. Email me, I don't care if you swear, I can handle that. I'll give it back, we're good. I think this is the opportunity for us to do what we want to do as a community, rather than just have it push. And so there's a bit of pull that will work really well as well. The other thing, just for those who don't know, is the Exmouth race next year is not going to happen. It's going to go to Indonesia direct, which won't be available, you know, not everyone can do that practically, right? So we are thinking about doing some alternative around that time of year. So there's some ideas you'd like us to explore, please reach out, we'll put them on the table, and evaluate the options, right? So we'll start working with that in the coming quarter. So again, big thanks to Gordon, big thanks to the speakers. It's been a really great night, and we look forward to seeing you all again soon.
So feel free to leave if you're tired and we don't want to participate in the next little bit, but we'll reconvene in about 3 or 4 minutes back here, so go and have a stretch if you need to.
Hey, so
just passing through for a couple of weeks because we are on a road sailing tour.
Yes, yes.
With a sister ship of Bill and Sons boat, the GPK 45.
Yes.
And we will go to the Abrolhos on our way north to Europe.
But I think it's the Easter holiday.
Yeah, that's what I checked. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I think it might be 3 weeks.
yeah, so it's not
So yeah, you want to avoid it a bit. It's going to be busy.
We just need to stop for a couple of days there.
Yeah.
To cruise extensively, but well, we'll see. Now, weather forecast is mine.
So school holidays finish on the 14th.
Thanks a lot anyway. Really we had a fantastic weather here. We are still there for activity, but really
One document that we didn't mention tonight that might be helpful for you as you head north up the West Australian coast is the WA cruising guide.
I got it. I got it since a while because in fact we met in Panama. A guy from Fremantle, and a cat. And so when I saw Fremantle, I knew that I will come here. So I got to see them and finally we crossed the Pacific together.
Yeah, great.
Thanks a lot again.
No problem. It's good to meet you.
I realise that going to the Abrolhos is normally about 4 weeks, and therefore people probably don't take on the cruise because of personality clashes that may occur. But I just thought there might be people actually desperate for cruise.
Yeah.
Yep. So I put down my name or something there or another. Do they contact you? I know there's a crewing section on the website.
Yeah, it's not working terribly well. We're working to improve the way that it works, but I think if we get this WhatsApp group going of people who are actually saying, I can put the word out. If you've got some details, or just email cruising platform, and just write it there.
Yeah, I mean, it's
and then I'll put the word out on the WhatsApp group. I can add you to the WhatsApp group. Oh, you signed the book? Yeah, no worries. Yeah. I haven't got a pen on. Oh, you got one?
and I put them on the freezer.